it's Ali, your eccentric slow mad. How's everybody? Didn't think this was gonna work for a minute. I was having some doubts. Let me go and check and make sure it's actually working. What's up, everybody? Hey, you guys. I don't know why I always want to do that. It's my childhood things that pop up. Anyway, y'all, today we are talking about the glamorous, the glamorous life versus being free. What is travel life? What is it really? And dispelling some misconceptions or just beliefs, or kind of becoming, I'm going to be your Google search today about travel. So, and what it looks like, what it feels like, boots on the ground, and try to dispel a few myths, so that you guys know kind of what some of us travelers go through on a regular basis. And also, so you guys kind of know that it's not always a sail in the park. So, and that's whether you're a glamorous traveler or not. So hey, if you guys are checking in for the first time, my channel is about all things travel, my travel journey. I'm gonna flick the light on because it started raining, so I think it got a little dark. There we go. We'll talk about, I'm in a new space too. But I talk about my personal travel journey on this channel, and how I live every day, things I've learned along the way. Ooh, I'm rhyming today. And my focus is primarily women over that half-century mark, because that's where I am. But I have been told numerous times that the information I share applies to everybody, and lots of different people have picked it up and utilized it. So it is for everyone. Of course, the perspective is from a 52-year young solo slow matter, and who is not working in the conventional or traditional, not conventional, traditional corporate American setting. So, and my ultimate goal is to show you guys how this works, how it's working for me, because everyone has a different path and a different way of doing things, and I'm still learning. But if I can share some of my mistakes, because I still make what could be rookie mistakes, but just letting you know we are all human out here, trying to live whatever life it is that we are destined or creating our destiny to live. So anyway, if it's your first time, click this, and this is interesting stuff. Click the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell so you know when I go live. And I'm not out today because actually it's literally been raining every single day where I am now. But it's been difficult to go live because I think my audience really liked the go live, walking up and down the street, and then, but they weren't really clear videos, but you guys really chimed into those, and I'm gonna do those again. Just I'm focused on what I'm going to be talking about today. And then I also am still working, you guys, to build up my behind the scenes travel community. So if you're interested in digging deeper and talking about real nuances that I don't share on this channel, and getting first look at videos and tips and other information that actually has not been shared on YouTube, it's only on that platform, please go to my link tree. I'll post it in the description, but it's my behind the scenes travel community on my mindyourbodyandsoul.com page. So anyway, I want to get all that housekeeping out, and just chat a little bit about what we came here to talk about today, some misconceptions. And you guys, this kind of came up because it always comes up. But I think the trigger was for me yesterday when I was talking, and not a bad trigger, but just like a, you should talk about this again. When I was talking to a friend that I had not spoken to, I probably haven't spoken to in, we were trying to figure it out yesterday, maybe 9 years. That's what he said. I thought it was only 3, or not 3, 5. 5. And it's been much longer than that, apparently. Anyway, and he was, graciously commending me on this road that I'm on, the steps that I've taken, and just out here living this life. And I always find myself kind of not minimizing what I'm doing, but because definitely not minimizing it, but trying to inject some reality into it, because most people think, oh, you just go from place to place, you just fly from here to there, you got money coming in, and yeah, and you just, and it's not that easy and perfect. I know people who are doing it multiple different ways, and we all have our little caveats, the little things that make it so that it still has some levels of kind of required, whatever it is, requirements of us, that put little limits here and there. So I am not a millionaire or a wealthy person where I can just move really freely and just pop in and out. Excuse me, that was a big yawn. Pop in and out when and where I want to. But we're gonna talk about all these different types of people. It just made me think of something else. I'm gonna make a note. So, misconceptions of travel life. Is it glamorous or is it free? Meaning not free money, but is it freedom? And I'm going to talk about the glamorous side really quick. Well, let me start here, because I think like I said, I'm gonna be your Google search. So you guys go and do your own research and stuff like this, especially if you're planning on starting a life like this, or you're already on a similar path, and maybe you're stepping out and you're doing it more. Let me first say that there are tons of different types of travelers. The most difficult and sometimes annoying thing that we do is we try to name it. We try to put it in a category. We are so determined to create borders for everything. And yes, I'm gonna define some pseudo borders for you guys today. I hate borders. I hate borders. My biggest petition right now is to remove all borders around the world. Of course, a traveler wants open borders everywhere, right? So let's call out a few different types of, hold on, you guys, I didn't check my sound. Can everybody hear me? We're gonna name some, hold on. We're gonna identify different types of travelers. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. You know how I've done this before where I've had videos and 20 minutes in, and sometimes it's because I don't have enough viewers to tell me that nobody can hear me. Okay, it says I'm live. Let's see, one moment. You can hear me. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you. Okay, all right. All right, and it looks clear too. Fantastic. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna define. I'm a Google search you guys today. Different terminology. Wow, it is pouring outside. Thank God I didn't get caught in that. So we have your y'all. I always talk about the basic traveler, tourist, the basic traveler, so on. We're gonna move past that, so to speak, and move into no. Let's keep some of that because it's gonna define a little bit, fall more into the glamorous category. So we've got the short term traveler, and then I'm gonna kind of break down the extended travelers. So, like myself, the categories that I fall in, because now we are creating categories and naming ourselves and all that stuff, right? No borders, no borders. Call ourselves, put ourselves in travel categories. Yeah, okay. Anyway, for this exercise, this is what we're going to do. So, y'all have probably heard of, everybody's heard of immigration. You've heard of expats. You've heard of people relocating. You've heard of nomads, right? Well, y'all know I call myself a slow mad, which just means I'm a nomad. I just do it slower. So, let's break that down a little bit. I'm not giving technical terms, y'all. There is no these terms except immigration don't and expat because it's expatriate, but it's basically the same as immigration, but with a little twist to it. So you could look those things up yourself. But for the purpose of today's chat, I want to break down some of the nuances, the things that are different enough to make traveling styles vary, right? So people who travel fast are more like, touristy, or you're popping in to a place for, maybe a week or two or something like that. You might be doing it on a budget, you might be doing it with family, and you might be doing the glam life with all of that, right? And then there's the nomad type style. And ideally, historically, nomad is someone who moves from place to place. Vagabonds. In Africa, they're called Maasai. Tribes, tribal people. We used to do that. We used to move from place to place because we would go in search of water. We would go in search of nourishment and places where you could actually live, which is why in a good portion of the United States, the United States is like, and kind of swoops around with a little cut down here. That whole middle section of the United States is very sparsely populated. Why is that? Because you got the mountains in there, you got a whole bunch of uneven terrain or areas where there's not a lot of water, there's a little bit more drought. We don't have deserts, but we have a little bit of that. And so we do have areas, even in the United States, where they are less populated. Go check on the map. Check on the map. Just do a population search on Google. Not that saying that it's going to be 100% right, but those are usually places you hear very little from. When was the last time you heard somebody talk about San Diego, South Dakota, or North Dakota for that matter? When do you ever hear anybody ever, like even not even elections? Oregon. Who talks about Oregon? I'm just saying. Who talks about Utah? If Utah Jazz wasn't there, we wouldn't know nothing about Utah, right? They have wonderful rock formations and stuff like that, but I mean, like, there's certain part like this. Anyway, we all were nomadic. Not us, but our ancestors were that way before, and it's people who move from place to place. Well, we have put a little spin on it. We break that down into backpackers and people who relocate and long-term travelers. And I have my new term, slow man. I just added on to it. I mean, like, everybody else has a term. Why can't I? And so slow man for me means that ideally what I'd like to do is stay the term that I am allowed to stay in a particular place before I move. So minimum, I really am into this 3 to 6 month thing, but rarely do we get over 3 months in places. Hey, you guys. Hey, Shana. Hey, y'all, wait, I can't even. Y'all, I got the contacts on that require me to put my reading glasses on because I have two different types of contacts, and lately I've been wearing the ones that let me see outside when I'm walking down the street. So that means I can't read. I can't. Okay, so you guys said something. Oh, here we go. I have it on my laptop. Um, okay, hold on, you guys. It's logging me in over here. Someone asked a question about Egypt. Un momento. I got my reading specs on now, y'all. Ba-dum-bum. Hey, hey, you guys. Let me know where you're watching from. Um, MIG does stuff. You said, hey, I have a question about Egypt. Are they consistently nice to black people? That's a broad question. Egypt's a big country. I can share my experience. I had no problems at all. They love us. um, and I went solo. And I know everybody will tell you don't go solo. Don't go solo as a woman. Don't this, don't that. I stayed right across from, like, boom, right across from the pyramids of Giza. So just know that there's nothing in Cairo in terms of historical monument type things. The town is, there's a new Cairo and an old Cairo, and you most likely want to be in the new Cairo. It looks just like a suburb of Chicago. But if you want to see pyramids and all that stuff, you need to actually be in Giza. So I was literally on the main street in Giza. They tell you to be mindful. There's people, like, walk outside and there's nobody outside. And I went in June, May to June, a couple years ago. And I went all up and down the Nile River. I did do a cruise. I booked it not pre, I booked it from the hotel I was staying in, paid cash, and didn't get a receipt. And it was the best tour I've ever taken in my life. Completely set up, but we could talk about that. I actually have some videos on Egypt on as well. But in terms of are they consistently, that's not, I mean, if you're nice to them, they're nice to you. And my tour guide said, he was like, wow, you don't hold any cards. He was like, I like you. You say what you mean, because I think a lot of people are intimidated with the harassment and stuff like that. But I've been in so many places in the world that top Egypt, because they got kids coming at you begging and stuff like that. In Egypt, just say no. La. La means no. Just say no. Everybody's universal. Everybody understands no. And just do it in a respectful way. Say no and keep walking. Don't pause and stop, or, this and that. And then, but also respect the culture. So I haven't had any problems in Egypt. And I was a little adverse when I was there because I got into a lot of conversations about ethnicity, which was inviting and interesting. But I had a fantastic time. I would definitely go again. I actually was considering going to Egypt to teach because it's cheap to. Actually, I'm going to probably go back. If I wasn't here now, I would consider going back because it's actually price point is actually really good in the Red Sea Peninsula area. So yeah, really enjoyed Egypt. But thank you for asking. More to come, or do a search on my channel and you'll find a few videos on Egypt. Shana, hey, as I sit here working on Memorial Day. Oh, is it Memorial Day? Is it Memorial Day? What's today? I don't know what today is. Um, Whatever it is, it's obviously the last Monday of the month. Okay. I'm sorry. Every day is Memorial Day for me. I'm dreaming about having your life of freedom and exploration. I love it. Let's talk. And Meg, you said, I'm also planning on studying in Egypt as a black girl. What do you think are the struggles of being a student in Egypt watching from Nigeria? Hey, I honestly I can't tell you. I'm gonna be honest. I can't speculate on what your struggles would be as a student, one of the things I can tell you is be very mindful of how you represent yourself. It goes a long way. When I was living in Africa, I lived in Africa for a year, but I was on the east side, and I met quite a few people because I spent a lot of time with locals, being there so long. Those are some of my best people. My best people. Kenya is my second home. Um, One would think Tanzania is, or Tanzania, but Kenya reigns out on that one. But anyway, and speaking to a number of different people who talked about their daughters going to places like Egypt and um, Dubai. What's the UAE? Yeah, over in those areas along that strait, and not being as prepared is, and this is something I would say anywhere you go. I would tell you this: if you're coming to the United States, to be very mindful of how you represent yourself, because that first impression is the hardest one to break and the hardest one to recreate. Okay. And so, however you want to be viewed and seen is how, unfortunately, in this world today, well, I mean, it just is what it is, human nature. You have to be that, embody that when you go out. So, in Egypt, one of the things I would say, especially if you're younger, is to have a plan. Know what it is that you're doing, what you're going for, especially if you're going to go long term. Already know where you're going to stay and have a backup plan. One of the things that I share a lot in my travel coaching or travel guide, um, council kind of sessions and stuff like that, is have a backup plan. So when things don't work out, you can bounce. One of the things that we find ourselves in, I see a lot in travel groups and conversations that I have with people, is they get out here in the world. And these are adults too. It's not students, it's not younger people. It's also older, more seasoned people who get caught up in situations where you're wanting something more than you want something more than logically your logic is telling you should have, right? And so, your eyes are bigger than your brain. So I just was listening to something where someone said, don't let like get you in trouble. In other words, we like things. Ooh, that's cool. That's this. That we're so enamored by things that we're pulled into it. It's a lesson at the ripe age of 52 that I am reversing in my life with this. Oh my God, being so excited about something and glazing over every red flag, every alert, every hesitation that is coming my way because I'm so engrossed in the excitement of something, the idea of something, that I miss everything else. And that can get you in a lot of trouble, along with not having an exit strategy. So, one of the things that I do share for anyone who travels, including like myself, arriving in different places, you're not quite familiar with where you're going, is to make sure that you can bounce and go to another, accommodation, that you can, if necessary, go home. And that may mean, okay, I don't have the money to necessarily fly, but get your round trip where it's refundable. Buy one way and then leave the opposite way open. I know going from Africa, it's a little bit more difficult. um, it's a little bit more difficult because I have quite a few sisters and brothers in the continent, and there's so many things that I would love to do in Africa, and I'm hoping things are starting to happen. I see there's some changes and some movement happening in the continent, and I'm super excited about it. But yeah, I would say to we always have our head on a swivel, right? And everything is exciting. I'm gonna put this out there: the men are fine. Please don't get caught up. They're fine. I mean, it's something that ain't fine. There's some non-fine people everywhere. But yo, when I say to you, I would have been a third wife to, I'm just playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm so serious. Yeah. So that's, you gonna get, listen. Whoo, child. That's the like that you want to like reel yourself in. As soon as you see them, reel yourself in, because they also talk a good game too. They talk a good game. Know what your focus is. These are gonna be conversation. You come to the other platform. We could talk about stuff like this, because, and that's a great question. I should do a video on that, because that's one of the difficult things being out here long term, is at some point you want to date. At some point, especially if you're going to be somewhere for, you're going for a year. I've been going for 4 years. And so, yes, you do eventually, I assume, date along the way. And try not to get caught up in infatuation or just looks and things like that. You really have to have some hard truths about what it is you want, what you're looking for, and what you're willing to accept. This whole, potential, we'll talk about that another time. Okay. So, y'all, I felt like mother having a conversation. Also planning on studying. Okay. This is awesome. Thank you, MIG, for those questions. Shannon, you are in Vegas. When are you leaving? What was it, this year that you were doing some long-term traveling? Thank you so much for answering my question. It feels like listening to an older sister. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for receiving, because there's so many ways that we can be hemmed up in this glam life, right? And people don't prepare us. And then sometimes people do prepare us or try to prepare us, and we can't hear them because we don't want to hear them. We want to do what we want to do. So thank you for asking. Thank you so much. The men are fine, girl. Yes. I got a whole video of some man. Anyway, I wasn't stalking him. All right, so let me get back to my list of things. My mama might be listening. I'm just going to say, if my mama is listening, they fine. Probably some of the finest men that I had seen on the Eastern corridor, outside of my normal preferred fare from Europe. If I'm looking at a certain type of, anyway, we should do a whole video on what's your preference. Okay, so I'm breaking down the different types. So we talked about the fast type travelers, touristy, things like that, in and out. We talked about nomad, expat, immigrants, and slow mads, and then people who relocate. So the difference I was saying with me is, so I'm what do I call myself? Hold on, I wrote it down. We have fast and slow travelers, planned and unplanned. I am an unplanned slow mad. So I don't have the year scope. Like, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, but it's so open because I only buy a one-way ticket. Like, I check out of this apartment next Sunday because it's not available. I really don't want to relocate to another apartment, but I need to weigh my options. Why? Because it's summertime and I'm technically in Europe. Y'all know what that means. It's expensive. Places that should be $300 to $400 a month are $2,100 a month. I'm not paying that. I'm just not. I'm not gonna. So, I'm in the process of doing the non-glam part, which is the planning. So we're going to get into what I define as glamorous, and what I define as glamorous, and then the flip side of that. And then a planned person. So I know people who, like, I just met a girl, if you guys were watching my videos, Lucy is from Brazil, and we ended up hanging out. We met in a hostel. I hadn't stayed in a hostel since a year ago, actually, in Singapore, which I don't normally do. But anyway, stayed in a hostel because of cost. and trying to be responsible, fiscally responsible. And anyway, met her in Turkey and was able to extend my stay comfortably by rooming with her. We moved to 3 apartments in the span of 2 weeks. And that just goes to show you, like, one of the things I'm going to talk about here, which is cost. I usually talk about cost a lot because I think it's one of the things that we overlook. A lot of people, a lot of content creators will say, just get up and go. I raise my hand. I'm a get up and go person. I even have a shirt that says buy the ticket. Go on my site and you can get yourself a t-shirt, and they come in many different styles, and there's like 5 or 6 other types of designs. But it says buy the ticket on the front, and on the back it says I bought the ticket, right? So I'm a big advocate of get your ticket, get up and get moving. But you also need to know what your limits are and how far it's going to take you. And you need to, do a little due diligence to do some planning. And so for me right now, I'm thinking I might be leaving. And heading further east, or even back to Egypt, because June to July, everything over here is about to increase because it's summertime. Summertime in the U.S. is such a heavy indicator around the world, except Asia. I mean, it still is, but it's one of those places. Asia is one of those places where it doesn't matter. You're gonna find good prices, but you're also gonna find some steep prices too. So anyway, I digress. I got off track. Hey Marilyn, good morning. That was a fantastic video with Lucy. Thank you, Marilyn, for saying it. So let's get back to this. Let's talk a little bit about, first, let me ask you guys this. If you guys are travelers already, what type of traveler do you define yourself as? Or what type of traveler are you wanting to be? Are you wanting to be, just a short term, and you always have your home base back home, whatever that is, or you want to create a new home base, or you want to backpack? That's the other one I really didn't define, is backpacker, because I think that kind of rolled into that nomad kind of universe. So, and I'm technically not, I'm a backpacker, I'm a pseudo backpacker because I carry a backpack, but that's because in Europe, everything, there's stairs and hills and mountains to climb. And so for me, it's number one, easier to move about with a backpack than it is, and I have a big one. It's a heavy backpack. It's 22 kilograms. So, I move around like that, but I do prefer long travel. So I think that's what I was alluding to before, is I'm in a space now where I want to stay 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So you guys may not know, I'm in Albania. I'm back in Albania. You guys may or may not know that I was here last year. So this is a familiar place for me. It's a comfortable place for me. But right now it's summertime, and you would think that I am in the United States with the prices that they charge. And I have principles where I can't. If I know in 3 months the same efficiency is going to be $15, $20 a month, I struggle with, 70 euro, which a night, which some places have up to, but I understand it's summer season. People are staying 3 days, 4 days. $70 a night is pennies in a full apartment. Some of these places 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, and they're 70 to 150 a night. Makes sense. That's U.S. prices, right? So it needs to be U.S. amenities for me. So that's another little side tip, but that's a preference for me. So let's talk a little bit about Oops. don't know why that's like that. Let's talk a little bit about what I mean by glamorous. For me, how I define glamorous. Glamorous, when I hear people say, oh, the glam life, oh, you living it up and this and that. There's this visual that I get, and it's probably not what everybody thinks, but the visual I get is people assume I'm eating out every day. I am partying. Someone mentioned partying the other day, and I was like, no, I really don't. But in Vietnam, I went out. Like I was out almost not every night, but a lot to the point of coming in at 5 a.m. in the morning. I don't know what was happening. I don't know what was happening. I was bar hopping, just having fun, because it was that type of, there were so many people and it was so easy to just walk from one place to the next. And, the setup of the community was perfect for that. You didn't even feel like you were out and about. It felt like you were just going to live music gigs. Oh, such and such is now playing at this place, and we just walk over, and you're not even necessarily indulging in cocktails or anything like that, but just socializing. The huge group would be there, and then the next place, there's this whole street that everybody would go down, and you just be on the street and till 5 in the morning. So, but yeah, so I don't do that in most places. That was the first time that I really found myself out like that, because I was very comfortable, and I could even catching a Uber grab a grab. One of the things they did not do there, and this was Vietnam, they didn't increase their prices at night, so I could jump on a moped. Or a car. A lot of times, if it's too early in the morning, I prefer a car because they're probably sober. But it would be like $2 or $3, and it's a 45-minute walk, a 10, 12-minute drive, and it would only be a couple bucks. It wouldn't necessarily hugely increase at night like we experience in Europe or in the US. And so there's different places, and this all comes together later on or in other conversations where we'll talk about how to plan and how to decide where you're going. But touristy stuff, typically glam people, you have a lot of tourist things planned and stuff, sites and stuff that you want to see, typically don't work, right? That's another thing. You're on vacation, so you are literally taking a break from work. Don't call me, don't text me, that kind of thing. It's usually short. By short, I mean less than 10 days, typically. And you usually are guided. So someone you've allowed someone to be the planner for everything. So you have a tour company you're working with, or, maybe you're the tour company, or you've done all your things that you've put together. But usually it means that you've got set events and itinerary planned prior to getting to your spot, and you are expected to be in well-known places, which during high season can be crowded, right? So that's another thing that I kind of flow into, the glam life. I say glam, and I also mean like IG life, where it's like it's on steroids, like everything is just highly amplified. And then lastly, the cost is usually high, but it's that the life that you're living or the travel that you're taking, and that's why I don't like to call this glam, because I was living like this before, where cost was not necessarily a huge deal when I worked corporate America. And you make six figures and stuff. It's really easy to go on a trip for 10 days and drop $2,000-$3,000, including your flight. That's like pennies, right? What a lot of people say who have full-time jobs, maybe not anymore because a lot of things happening, but 4 years ago, yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I traveled a lot different. So 10 days, I can't blow $2,000 in 10 days. So those are some of the things that I think of when I say glam life. But then there's also the freedom part. So I caveat that with, am I really living the glam, the star-studded life, or am I living a life of freedom? And I don't think anyone is ever 100% free, because we always have a conscience. So as long as you're thinking you're, you know, typically under some guise, some guidance, some form of rule, so you're not, that's a whole nother conversation, but y'all get what I'm saying. So the flip side is so if I was glam, I was eating out all the time. My freedom life allows me to decide, and I typically pick places with kitchens or pseudo kitchens like what I have, but I have the ability to prepare my food myself. So that's one difference. Going out means I got a bottle of wine somewhere. I got a bottle of wine, in the refrigerator. Here, actually, I live in an apartment complex now that there are like 15 lounges in here. There's a barber shop. There's a barber shop downstairs, two grocery stores, a pharmacy, um, restaurants, two pizza places right below me, and a partridge in a pear tree. All of that, like right here. So they have areas that they are building into like smaller, like these communities, things that we're used to seeing in the States, um, at pretty decent prices for now. Anyway, um, tours. I typically don't do any touristy spots, especially in the first 2 weeks. If I'm gonna stay somewhere for a month, I definitely don't go in the first 2 weeks. If I'm looking to see if a place is somewhere I would inhabit longer term, whether it's the 3 months or you know longer, or stay somewhere but border hop so that I can extend my stay. I don't do tours because I don't want to have a tainted view of a place and be so enamored by all the cool clicky bells and whistles. And then in the grand scheme of things, uh, data sucks, or, water pressure sucks, or cost of food is out the wazoo, or quality of food sucks. And I've been to places that literally click those buttons, and I'm like, yeah, it would have to be free accommodations for me to be in some places long term. Another thing, typically you don't work on the glam life. In the freedom life, it's, we either have to set ourselves up for this long term process, but at some point you're going to be working on something. Unless you're retired and your retirement, granted you still get that, covers all your expenses plus then some. Because I would even still say make sure you're putting something away for a rainy day. A rainy day. Something I wish I did a little bit more of. But anyway, so that's another thing. We work when you're in this space, and it's not like a glam travel kind of trip or glam life, right? I do have to work. I do have to think about finances. I do have to think about what I'm paying for things. It's longer term because I don't go back. I don't have a home base. So when I return to the States, I'm usually maybe hotel here and there, crashing somewhere, staying at my parents, staying at friends, like completely vagabond. And then when I do go out and move about and just being in different countries and different cities, I am self-guided. So I'm looking for resources for how to communicate, how to move around, what public transportation options are available, how does the community actually move. If I do want to go and see something, how do I go and do that? And it's really nice because if I do want to do tours, there's less people. I can kind of pick and choose when I want to do something. It might be more expensive because, maybe there's only a few people going, but or maybe I can go there a different way. So I have options is what I'm saying. So that's what is a little bit different. It's more hands-on. I'm doing it more myself. So it's a little less glamorous in some people's eyes because, yeah, you got to put in a little bit work yourself. And then overall, the cost hopefully is lower because it's more of an extended period. Whereas, and it depends again where you're staying. So if you're going to be in a place that ramps up in certain times of the year, I was trying to hold that one in, certain times of the year, they may not give you accommodation breaks because they know they make so much money during those seasons. And I happen to be in that area that is growing so much that they are not giving us any breaks. They're not giving us any breaks with accommodations. So those are like kind of the ways I break down whether or not this is glamorous. Sorry about that, you guys. I think it got a little disconnected. But whether or not I would say this life I'm living is glamorous or if it's just more freeing. And for me, I feel like it's more freeing. For other people looking in, they may see glamorous. You guys may see glamorous because it's like, wow, cool, you get to do this. But every day I don't have a plan and I know I need to make one because either I can't extend or I can, but I don't want to pay the cost. And for the last really 8 months, I've been moving. January and February were my longest terms in places where I had a place. In January was the best because I had an apartment, well, so it was a co-living space, but I had it for the whole month. So I didn't have to worry about moving at all for an entire 30 days. Since then and before then, it's been, in and out. And so I do long to be settled somewhere. So while I have the freedom to go pretty much as I please, I'm also governed, so to speak, by what's happening in the world, the highs and lows of seasons, including weather patterns. I have to be mindful of those types of things. And deciding if I'm going to see something new or if I'm going to go back to something familiar until, something new opens up. So it's that type of freedom, which can sometimes be stressful as well because there's just a lot that you have to do. So then that takes us into the social engagement and then the health portion, the mental health portion of traveling as a whole. Because you can have all those things, do all those things, meet all that criteria. It could be glamorous and you still don't have social engagement if you don't have friends going with you. I could be spending all the money in the world and still be in a place where I don't feel I have connections and I'm, being able to communicate with people. Or, I've been in places where it's like that, where, it's like, okay, this is a cool place, but it doesn't feel like I don't feel the connection with the locals, nor do I feel connection with the passerbys, the people that come in and out. And typically I meet someone in every country I go to, almost every country, some more than others. So it really depends. And then from a mental health perspective, understanding that all of this freedom, when you haven't had it before, really can be overbearing, um, because you're not prepared for it. You're not quite sure how to manage time, how to manage expenses, how to manage expectations, how to keep moving about. Like right now, one of my main stresses is carrying all of my things. So that opens the door. I'm just going to kind of prelude into this, but this is a conversation that I'd have in the BTS community. Um, and that is where to put your things if you don't want to get an apartment and you know you're going to be moving around. So, with prices increasing, and I know I'm going to be bouncing around, my first thought is, do they have storage lockers in the city, at the airport, or in the city? And can I leave my things longer term, longer than a day? So I started looking that up because $40 a month to leave a bag of things that I'm just not going to use makes more sense than getting an apartment where they're charging me $600 to $800, and that's like a hole in the wall kind of place, um, or carrying things with me that slow my mobility. Like I would like to just freely be able to jump on and jump off buses without having this one big bag and another tote, you know, carrying along with me. But I have to think about those things. So you add in those that level of stress, which in the glam world you might allow someone else to do some of that planning for you, and in this world where it's a little bit more free, a little bit more open, you kind of come and go as you please. you've got to like you've got to do some research and do some balancing and checks and balances. Well, what makes sense? Where would I go? And then what that does is it starts to open up the plane of the other options. So being able to organize your thoughts, organize ideas, organize planning what's going to happen next, what could potentially happen next, and what makes most sense, can for some people be a little bit more burdensome than they want. So I usually share that with people, that if you're not a person that is just relocating, like you're picking up all your bags, let's say you're a person who does not like to do all that type of planning, then I would suggest, I'm just going to reframe what I was going to say. I would suggest that you, if you want to do this, live this kind of life where you just want to explore and live somewhere outside of your home based country, is that you plan for whatever that extended amount of time is. Um, if you're getting visas to work and things like that, you work that out with the job that you're taking, and all of that. But you bring all the things that you're going to need. And that's a whole nother conversation, because you won't need as much as you think you need, but you will need some things. But bring all the things that you're going to need, and then take the time in that 6 months or 12 months or sometimes 2 years. I know people um, commit to staying in places. Take that time to then kind of explore around in the areas that you live, or things that are close by, that you could just take a smaller bag and jump on a plane and you know, explore. But if you are a person who is, I do this all the time, I'm comfortable, but you haven't done it abroad, but you've done it in the States, you might be ready to be up and blazing and moving about. I still say travel as lightly as possible. I have way too many things, because my initial plan was to get a place for a year here in this country, and lock down the rent, which is why a lot of people do long-term leases and stay in places. But you got to hopefully get something good, because once you sign that long-term lease, you're kind of stuck sometimes, unless you just have a good host, a good landlord that says, okay, sorry for the inconvenience, I'll give you your money back, and you still got to go out there and figure out something else. So that was my goal, and so I would not have been carrying all of these like household things that I bought, all of my um, business oriented things that I'm lugging around from place to place, because I have yet to like settle in a base longer term, longer than a month. Give me 3 months and I'd be like super ecstatic right now. So those are some of the things that play into it. And so you've got to be um, conscious, aware that that's what this life really looks like. This life is not all juices and berries and easy flowing and kind of just easy paths to do things. If you've got to consider finances, if you've got to consider just the climate outside, as well as political climate, as well as just is it a place that I'm just visiting short term, or is it a place that I would consider long term? You got to consider all of that kind of stuff. So or you don't have to consider it. That's what I have to do. And sorry about that, you guys. I don't roll over and say, oh, let me pack all of my things. Now, I might roll over and take a little bag and just pop up and go somewhere. But I don't necessarily just roll over, pack all of my things and just decide to get up and leave the next day. And I think it's because I've been on this road for about 4 years. And so, yeah, I don't I don't pack everything and explore as as uh kind of I'm out here just venturing. I'd rather leave things somewhere. So hey, if you're in a country that I'm going to be in, or that I am in, um and you've got closet space, let me know. If I can leave some things. But even that takes planning, because then you got to plan to come back. I got stuff in, probably still in Tanzania. I got bags in Kenya. Every place I've been to, I've left a bag of clothes. I don't understand how I still have so much stuff. I don't know. I don't know where the stuff. So it feels like for everything I take out and leave, the bag gets heavier. Not quite sure. So yeah, I don't just roll over and go, oh, I'm gonna pack up all my things and leave tomorrow. I have to kind of plan it, because I got to decide, am I getting on a plane, or am I getting on a bus, or do they have a train system? Where can I go next? And do I want to go to that next place next? So anyway, I'm hopeful that's helpful. I'm gonna bounce some other I'm gonna bounce to some other things, but I think I'm gonna do it in a separate video. But I kind of wanted to share, like, um, I don't think I'm living a glam life. I think I am living a life closer to the freedoms that I've always dreamt of. And I just have different levels of stress now. I don't have the comfort of a regular paycheck like I had before. If I had the paycheck like I had before and I didn't have to do the work, um, oh, I'd be in heaven. If I was age retired, I'm physically retired, but I'm not age retired. Oh, I'd be good. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be good. And retirement still existed, I'd be in great shape from a financial perspective. And then that would open up other doors, because you're spending less time kind of, trying to find the perfect fit for things, so that in a 12-month span, I'm kind of falling somewhere in my budget. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those are some of the things that I would share with you guys. That maybe you can take some notes and prepare for. If you want the glamorous life, you may want the life that is kind of falls in the short-term life, travel grouping, but you want that full time. Like, you want that every day. You want to, have the thrills and frills of the glam life, and you can actually afford it. That's fantastic. Can I come along? you know, um, so It's not saying that one is better than the other. It's just saying I know which side I'm sitting on. I'm sitting on the more freedom side and less of the glam side because I just don't have the glam um, ability, nor would I really want it. Bits and pieces that I indulge in here and there, but I want the freedom to do things as I choose when I choose. And that's what makes this travel experience, this travel journey special to me, is that I'm dictating how I'm doing it without you guys seeing all the stress. I might do like a working session, a travel planning, a live travel planning session. So you guys can, maybe you guys have planning to do. I don't know. I don't know if that stuff is helpful. To be in a space where everybody is like, we're going to dedicate the next 2 hours to plan our next trip, or where we're going next, and we all just sit in a room, speak or don't speak, and plan things. But it gives you an opportunity to blurt out questions and say, hey, has anybody ever been to this place? What do you guys know about this place? Or are SIM cards a thing? Should I go ahead and get an eSIM capable phone? If I stay here, should I sign up for tours beforehand, or should I get there when like all kinds of travel questions pop up when you're traveling. And I have the same questions. I was thinking buses was my only means of transportation in this next country, but they got trains. And I can actually plan a train route through like 5 or 6 different countries if I wanted to. I want to get rid of a bag first. So hopefully that helps. Let me know in the comments if travel planning sessions would be helpful for you guys. If you're interested in chatting more in depth about some of the things I alluded to but didn't really go into, that are more individual based, let me know. And or if you want to join my behind the scenes travel community, I'll put that in the description as well, so you guys have access to that, and then you can join if you're interested, and we can try to build up this community. It's scant right now, I will admit. I would love to have more people in it so that we can have real dialogue. I love this kind of thing. I love being able to provide you guys with information, but it's also hard to be in real time chatting back and forth, and as a group we all kind of can comment with, it's not just one person providing that information. Hey Marilyn, I'll be sharing with my granddaughter. Oh, you deleted the message. I'll look back in a minute. um but yeah, that's what I would really like this to be. This part of it, the YouTube part, is really morphing into more of like real live excursions when I'm out and about, just short snips, or even 30 minutes when I'm just walking around sharing my current place with you guys, and then some of these types of conversations, and then the in-depth part, more the real tips, like the different types of travel tips and things you should bring, and all the little things that help you at least with a checklist, will be in the behind the scenes community. Those videos are over there. Some of those are starting to get compiled over there. And then you can ask different questions. You have a little bit more privacy there, and you have direct access. Not direct access, you're not in here with me, but you have more direct access to me in that area where it's more private than on YouTube, where you have to type a message and everybody else can see it. She's 20 years old, twin. I'm retired from airline. Oops. And I'm in 75th summer, living in Arlington, Texas. Awesome. Marilyn, I think the other message you typed before deleted. But there's, it sounds like there's someone that you're talking about. Are they a traveler? I love it. I love it, Marilyn. You are always on, and I appreciate you being here, and always helping on the channel as well. But just being supportive is a huge thing, and so it doesn't go without acknowledgement. Oh, sorry, typo you removed. Okay, well, let me know if it was something important. Um, but yeah, if you guys have thoughts or ideas, I'm going to be sharing more. I want to also I'm going to do a separate video to thank you guys for um, everybody who has jumped on and become a new subscriber to the channel. Oh, you have you're 20-year-old. It sounds like you're saying. Is it your 20-year-old? I'm giving you kids. I don't know why I'm yawning so much, you guys. She's interested in living abroad. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I'm starting to feel like I have a calling with the younger people. Not starting. This is something that I think I've always had, because it's, I think, actually been not I think I know it's been a dream. Initially, back in the day, I always wanted to be a social worker for preteens, and so I tend to gravitate or be around young people, and whether it's male or females, but a lot of young girls or younger girls tend to kind of be in the fold, and um, it's a blessing actually to be able to live the life that I'm living, and other people just, they see it and it gives them hope. It's inspirational to them, and then I can point out the things that I would do different, whether or not someone else would do them the same way I did them before, or do them different. Because a lot of people ask, well, how do you do what you're doing? And I'm not doing it the way I would like to do it now. And I'm running into people day to day that I'm hearing, you need to do this. You need to go back 4 years ago where you started, when you were going to do X, Y, and Z, and revisit that. And so it's really neat how people are put in your pathway, um, and the messages are as clear as day, you know. But it's nice to also hear from people that, they didn't think that they could do certain things or go these routes, or everybody hears negative things here and there, but to hear, a few people say, well, this is, you can do it too. Here's a few caveats. Here's a few things to consider. Um, I want to make sure that as many people know that this life is possible. You just have to be realistic. Be realistic with what you have, what you're sitting on, what it is you want to do. Even if you don't know 100%, you kind of still need to know what kind of person you are, and then decide how you're going to do it. You know, are you going to cause yourself more stress if you're less planned, or cause yourself um, more ease, if you've got some things kind of ironed out, ducks in a row, so to speak. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. You guys, again, I will put things in the description, and hopefully you could check out my other site, and also share a channel with others. Thank you. Getting our people to improve their mindset about traveling and or living abroad. Yes, thank you so much. I was just talking to a friend about that. We were literally talking about mindset. It's the mindset. Thinking about it beyond the glamorous, beyond the bells and whistles, beyond looking at Steve Harvey and Jay-Z and Beyonce and stuff on yachts, and in $3,000 to $10,000 rooms a night. If you ain't got it like that, you don't need to have it like that to have an abundant travel life. I can tell you firsthand. But in the BTS community, I'm gonna tell you honestly what you need to be concerned with, things that you need to look out for, and what you should consider to be on your non-negotiable lists. Okay, because I still make mistakes or do things and I'm like, oh, I should have asked first, or I should have known. So I'm also going to do a video to talk about things that I miss, things I miss from the U.S. My personal misses, not overall things that you're going to that the world, individual people are going to miss, but things that you know I'm not ashamed or nor do I think they're things that I think that everyone can learn a little bit from if I list them out, because they're things that I think a lot of people won't necessarily think about, because even though I've been gone for 4 years, we still think like Westerners. And by that I mean we have expectations of Westerners. We just literally naturally think that if I go in a place and there's a water faucet, there's a hot and a cold side. There is not always. Not always. Stuff as basic as that, right? That if you're planning on doing this long term, you really want to know so that you can start working through your quirks so that you can start setting yourself up, especially if you are a budget person like myself. You can start setting yourself up for, okay, what are my non-negotiables? What are my, that would be fantastic to have. And these are my, well, it's not a big deal. I won't be here this long, or I will be here for a long time. I can just go and get it, or I can request it, or I have enough time to ask for these things prior to moving into an accommodation, or I've got time to walk a space before I go and commit a year blindly, 6 months blindly, 3 months blindly to a place, and then you get there and there's a hole in the floor. That's one example. Okay. Anyway, we'll talk, you guys. I appreciate y'all for being here. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. I might commit to tomorrow just doing a live walk around. Maybe walking from here down to the lake that I love so much here. The lake is huge. It's just beautiful, beautiful park. So I may do that. I got to do some errands in between the rain. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow. So you guys stick around, click the notification bell so you know when I go live. And maybe I'll be able to show you a little bit of this town. So I'm going to get out of here. Love you guys to pieces. Appreciate you so much. Y'all know the drill. Toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease.